Hey guys, Bosch Boss here. Thought I would do another day in a life video as I don't get to make them often, but we've got an interesting one to do today. We have this Bosch washing machine and we're going to be changing the door seal. Now if your machine is leaking for any reason, one of the first things to check is the door seal, as over time they normally perish and they can develop a hole, and as they essentially hold back all the water in the machine. So the bit we're talking about is this rubber gasket around the front. So I'm going to show you how we change it. Right, okay, first things first, make sure you disconnect the power. So you don't want any electric shocks or ending up in more of a mess in the washing machine. So always disconnect the power. First thing you want to do is remove the lid of the washing machine. You have two screws doing this. You've got one in here and you've got one the same the other side. These are Torx 20 or T20 size screws. So essentially you remove them and just pull the lid back and it should just slide off. Right, after you've removed the lid, we're going to need to remove the fascia panel from the front of the washing machine. So that's the control panel across here. Reason for this is essentially it covers the screws that we need underneath it to remove the front panel from the washing machine. So to take this fascia panel off, you take the dispenser out, you just press the little button in the middle, and you'll have some more screws. You'll have one in here, one in here, and one in here. And again, these are all Torx 20. Make sure you keep these screws separate as they are rust resistant screws, they're stainless steel, and the rest of the control panel is just held on with clips. So essentially you just need to take the screws out and just give the fascia panel a lift up and it should just pull off. We'll do this now. Okay, so after you've removed the screws from this front will pull away, and what you need to do next is release the clip on the fascia panel. So you have this little tab in here that you just have to press in, and it will allow you to pull the whole fascia panel off the machine. We'll do this now. Okay, right, now we've removed the fascia panel. You can see that I'm just resting it on the top of the machine. It's perfectly safe up here, as we've not got to touch it again until we put it back. Right, the next thing you want to do to remove the front panel of the washing machine, you've got a T20 screw here and a T20 screw here. So remove these and then we'll work on taking the door seal and the door lock off. Okay guys, right, so we've removed the two screws in the fascia panel. Now we need to work on taking the actual door seal off the front panel of the washing machine. You have a little metal spring band in here that you can put a little flat bladed screwdriver in, and essentially pull it towards you and it will release. So essentially you want to pull this metal clip off of the door seal, and this will allow you to remove it from the front panel. The next thing you want to do is to remove the door lock from the front panel of the washing machine. So the best way to do this is get your hand behind it, and with that little flat blade screwdriver, press these two little buttons in on the door lock and slide the door lock to your left with your hand. So we'll do this now. Okay, so after we press those two tabs in, you'll be able to pull the door seal away from the front panel and you can just rest it inside like that. The next thing to do is we've got some screws underneath the front panel of the washing machine, so you're best to tip it back to a 45-degree angle, and we'll remove those now. Right guys, the next screws to remove are the ones under the front panel here. So you've got one screw here, you've got one screw in the middle, and you've got one by the other foot. Also underneath the filter flap you have a couple of screws here and another one here. So you need to remove all these in order to take the front panel off. So I'm going to remove all these now. They're all T20 screws as well. Right guys, when you've removed all the screws from the front panel should just pull away, and you give it a little wiggle. You should then just be able to pull the whole front panel away from the washing machine, and we'll leave that aside out of the way until we have to put it back later. So we'll work on getting the door seal off and replacing the new one. Right, to remove the old door seal from the washing machine you need a pair of pliers, normal pliers, long nose pliers, a pair of grips, anything you can essentially clean this clamp with. So we need to pull this hose clamp off the dispenser, as this is how the water enters the washing machine. It can be a little bit tricky and a little bit stiff to get off sometimes, but just give them a little bit of help and they'll come off. Next thing to do, we can see we have a big metal retaining band all the way around, so we need to remove this as well. So again, little flat blade screwdriver, just get underneath the spring gently, don't be too rough with it, because if you pierce the drum at this point it's game over for the washing machine. They come off fairly easy, just give them a little flick and just pull them off. So now essentially you've removed everything from the washing machine, so you should now just be able to pull the door seal away from the washing machine. The best thing to do on these Bosch ones, I find, is to pull this lip back right here, get your hand in and just give it a good pull. So essentially pull this lip back over the drum, get your hand in and just give the seal a pull as such, and the whole thing comes away from the washing machine. We're changing this one because it has developed a leak, so yeah, we're going to put a nice new one on. So that one's rubbish. Don't forget that you need your clip off of the old one, as we need to put this onto the new seal to fix it back to the drum. So let me just get the new seal out of the packet and we'll work on getting the new one on. Okay guys, right, this is my new door seal for the washing machine. It's a slightly different colour, but it still fits the same model. When fitting the door seal, make sure that you look for the drainage holes in the bottom of the seal, as these need to line up with the holes on the drum in order for the seal to drain itself away at the end of the cycle. So I'm just going to set myself up and we'll get work on getting the new one on. Right guys, to put these new seals on, don't panic if you can't do it first time, because they can be quite difficult and very fiddly, so they will test your patience. If it's your first time doing this, just make sure you take your time and don't rush anything, and make sure you get it on properly, because if you don't, there's going to be water everywhere. On these Bosch seals, you have two types of fitting. You've got the inner lip here, which sits inside the drum, and then you've got this outer lip that sits on the outside of the drum. So what you have to try and do is push the door seal into the drum, and then essentially into the drum, and then lift it over at the same time like that. And then what you need to do is you need to do that the whole way around. So again, inner lip goes in the drum, and then the outer lip hooks over like that. So I'm going to do this now. As you can see also, this machine has some big concrete counterweights on the front. If you need to remove these to give yourself some more space, feel free to. I don't need to, because I've done it many times before, but they're just a size 13 nut. Essentially you undo those bolts and you can just pull the concrete weights off the front. But I'm going to work on putting this seal on now, so yeah, I'll be back in 2 minutes. What you can do as well, if you're struggling, so I should have mentioned, is you can put this outer lip on first to hold it in place for you if you find it easier to do it that way. But what you have to do on the inside is the inner lip that I was talking to you about. You have to stretch that round and essentially push that through to the drum. So you want this inner seal here sitting on this inner liner here. So essentially you can push that all the way around, and then you'll be able to then just essentially push the seal into place so it grips the outside of the drum, and then you know you've got it all the way around. So I'm just going to finish doing this now. Okay, so when the seal is fitted to the washing machine, you should have your drainage holes for the seal in the bottom. Your hose should line up with a dispenser, so we can put that back on. So it should look something like this. So that inner lip hooks on the inside, and then you've got the outer lip up that goes all the way around, that hooks over the outside all the way around. As I say, if you need to remove these weights to give yourself more space, you're more than welcome to, but I've done a fair few. Now the hardest bit, in my opinion, I don't know if others will agree, is refitting these inner spring bands. Now these are essentially stretch bands. If you've got a second pair of hands, it'd be very handy to have at this moment in time. If someone holds the spring at the top while you stretch it around to the bottom, that would be the perfect situation, but obviously I'm by myself. But it's not something I haven't done before, again, as I say, because I do it on a day-to-day basis. But these bands can be really fiddly and they can ping off at you, so just watch yourself doing this. If you're struggling, don't be alarmed, because when I first started doing this job, these used to be the death of me, these springs. So I'll get mine in place and I'll show you roughly what you have to do. Okay, so what I tend to do with these springs is get them on the inside of the door seal first to get them over this front lip, because this is what you're going to be really struggling with. And then what you have to try and do is to say, this is where your second pair of hands will be handy. You essentially just have to try and stretch it so this spring then resits back in this groove on the top. And, well, essentially the groove on the outside of the door seal. As I say, these are very fiddly, so just do take your time. If you've got a second pair of hands to help, this will be very handy right now. So I'm just going to fit this spring back now. Okay guys, right, that's that front spring fitted back. As you can see, it's back on the washing machine, and essentially just holds the door seal in place. Right, next thing we need to do, don't forget to do this, because I have done it in the past, which is a bit silly of me. But essentially you need to put this hose back to the dispenser part here, so we'll do this now. Okay, so that's the hose attached back to the dispenser. Make sure with this clip that the end that you grab with your pliers is more in towards the drum side of the machine, because if you have it facing the front, it will tap the front panel of the washing machine when it's spinning, so and it can be quite annoying. So yeah, we're pretty much done here, so all we've got to do is put the machine back together again. Okay, right, so essentially we're just doing what we did in reverse. So you've got your front panel, you've got the screw hole down there, and you've got the screw hole down there, and you've got the one in the middle down here. Now essentially what you're doing is you're lining this up so it sits on top. So you want it to sit on top of these lugs that stick out of the washing machine. So again, they can be a little bit fiddly, but they will go. Compared to the springs, this is quite easy. So, and then it literally just all lines up. It all just lines up in place, and yeah, that's how you put the front panel back on. Easiest things to do here is to put these screws back in, just so it holds it in place, so you can tip it back and do all the screws up underneath it. So we'll do this now. Okay guys, right, the machine's on its back legs again, so I've put the screw in there and the screw in there. So now what we need to do is we need to put these two screws back in here, which are these plastic thread ones, not the thicker metal ones. So the thicker metal ones again go here, one in the middle and one by the other foot. So we'll put all these screws back in now and we can work on putting the rest back together. Okay guys, right, so that's all these screws in. So you've got one here, and you can put your filter flat back. And essentially, you've got one in here, one in the middle, and one there. So right, so we'll put the machine back. We'll put the machine back down on the floor, and the next thing to do is to put the fascia panel back on. Now this is quite simple. So essentially, you just lift. It's essentially just a lift and sort of drop on thing, really. So essentially, make sure that you're not trapping any wires. Those wires there have come out, so we'll put them back. So essentially, it's just a push, essentially a push and click fit. So when that's back in place, remember to replace your 3 screws that you kept separate. So you've got the big one in there and then the 2 plastic thread ones for the dispenser. So I'll put these back now. Right, that's all done. As you can see, the screws are back in the dispenser. So what we can do now is get the actual soap dispenser itself and just click, and essentially just push that back in, and that's pretty much it. We've just got a couple more things to do. So your door lock, remember to put your door lock back. So essentially the left hand side of the door lock goes through the front panel first. These are a little bit fiddly, so you just need to get your hand behind them. So it goes in like that. Push it, and then you want to push to your right to lock it in place. So again, so the left hand side of the lock goes in first, you then push it flat, and then you push to your right, like that. So the next thing to do is we just need to put this door seal back over the front lip of the drum. So this is where we took that band off, the other band off before. So this bit's nice and simple. Essentially all you need to do is you've got this lip on the edge of the machine, you just lift the door sill and hook it over like that, and you need to do that all the way around until it fits flush to the front panel. So I'm going to do this now. Okay, right, so after we've done that, we've just got 2 things left to do. We've got to put the lid back on, which is just essentially a push and 2 screws, and we have to put this other band back on. So this is another one that can cause you a problem if you've not done this job before. So essentially the metal spring goes here on the door sill, and you have to stretch. It's another stretch one that you have to stretch around the entire ring. Now these can be quite difficult and quite tough. So again, if you've got a second pair of hands to hold it in place while you stretch it, it'll make your life easier. But I've done this before again, so I'm going to do this now.